So let's jump into some third-party news. It's been pretty quiet on the third-party front in light of all these recent big releases of official product. And here's a really cool one that comes from the website of Weibo and all its little message boards. A independent creator by the name of ByArt, no joke, that's his name, showed off his 3D printed creation that uses the limitation of mini-cassettes within the scale of Generation 1 and Masterpiece of the little mini-cassettes that transform into vehicles. And more importantly, he managed to pull off these mini-cassettes that transform into a complete set of 6 Constructicons. Now, this isn't the first time that cassettes in Transformers history have turned into something that isn't, let's say, humanoid or an animal. Way back in the day, we had Generation 1 Grand Slam and Rain Dance that turned into both, some kind of a tank and a jet, and then they combined to make Slam Dance. And so it's not the first time that something like that has existed, and this is something that's really cool because I like when companies take a original concept from Transformers, whether it be, in this case, cassettes or headmasters, and do that spin on pre-existing characters. And I mean, that's what we kind of got with Titan's Return. We had people who were headmasters that were never headmasters. And it's just kind of cool to see this too, where it's like, hey, why don't we take the Constructicons and let's see if we could make these cassettes that you could store in Soundwave, and then they could be used afterwards to fit in Soundwave. And then they could even transform amazingly. And I'm impressed how well it pulls this off, considering the limitation of that square, or that rectangle in this case, that they turn into these alt modes perfectly. But on top of all of that, they also combine to make Devastator. So there still is a form of a robot mode here, which is very impressive. Now, ByArt right now is saying that what he wants to do for the time being is, if you want the set of these Constructicons, he doesn't have a complete price yet. He's thinking probably $25 a tape, and then maybe the full set at the time being, he's thinking might be, if done properly with all the pieces, it might come to set, let's say you get it, because right now you have the tape that turns into the alt mode, $25 a piece. He's thinking if you have the tape with the alt mode accessories that could make Devastator, maybe $30 a piece. And then so they're thinking like, if you buy 2 sets of them, maybe $360. He's not sure what the numbers yet, because this is all stuff that's being done 3D printed and it's in the early stages of it. Even the photo that I'm going to be posting in the segment here, we have the mono-colored ones done in Constructicon colors, and then we have the combined mode still done even in the early 3D printed resin kind of colors. So it's still in the early stages, but I really think this is cool, and it's something that if it gets legs and there actually is a interest for this, I wonder if he would be able to even jump into some of the other legendary combiner teams through Transformers history and be able to pull this off too. Something like the aerial bots would be pretty easy, I would imagine, because of just, like that general shape. And we've seen already, again, through Rain Dance, that jets aren't too difficult. But then I'm wondering, like, how would he tackle the larger centerpieces? The centerpiece combiners, a Silver Bolt, an Onslaught, where, at least the one thing with the Constructicons here, each one of them had an alt mode that was relatively the same size with each other, where in the case of Scramble City combiners, you always had that larger centerpiece. So how would you be able to have something that's still uniformly still the same size of the other cassettes and still be able to pull off fitting in Soundwave or Blaster's chest and do that? So it'd be really interesting to see how they do that. But, I mean, I think this is really cool. This is a creative thing that, once again, I would never see really Hasbro doing. I don't see Hasbro like, one day the theme of Generations is going to be cassette wars, and everyone's going to be cassettes, and that's going to be the price point, just like what they did with Titan's Return with the Titan Masters. Or in the case even of the decoy armors with the Power of the Primes, where a whole bunch of characters that were never really deemed pretenders were now all of a sudden given that pretender monarch. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty awesome. Again, let me know what you think about this. Like, I mean, at $25 a cassette, that might be considered pricey for some people. I know that right now, I mean, even the priciness of the Generation 1 reissues of the cassettes that are hitting Walmart now, in Canada, I believe I want to say they're $19.99, and I think in the States it's a little cheaper than that. So, this is a lot for one cassette, and $30 if it has the accessories to make the combined pieces too. So it's something that would be really pricey in the minds of many Transformer fans, but at the same time, it is something that's very unique, and it's done, 3D printed at the moment. I guarantee that if this ByArt guy, if he hooks up with a third-party company and they work something out together, this could probably be made more mass-produced, cheaper, and more cleanly. But I really like this idea. This is some real cleverness. It's really cool, and it's something that, like I said, afterwards, I'd be really interested to see how they tackle combiners. If not combiners, let's say, having that centerpiece makes it really difficult for the Scramble City guys to be a reality. But if that's not the case, then why not just other characters? Wouldn't it be cool to see like a cassette that turns into Optimus Prime, or a cassette that turns into, let's say, Hot Rod or Bumblebee? That'd be really cool. I mean, we have so much other I know that like there was a company called Ironworks a while back. Ironworks, they were doing like even Headmasters of Soundwave and Optimus Prime. This was a third-party company way back before even Titan's Return started doing it. So this is something that'd be really cool to see. Be really cool to see. I mean, it's not, and what's funny? Like, if I actually go through my own personal history with third-party stuff, there was a company back in the day called BTS Toys, and they were just pretty much doing, at the time, their version of Masterpiece scale cassettes of, Soundwave and, not Soundwave, Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, Ratbat. And what they did was, just to kind of get some mileage out of the molds, they even painted them in Constructicon colors, and they called them Constructibots or whatever. And I did a review on them. This was a long time ago, so the audio quality and the video quality was probably terrible. Maybe I'll link it in the description or in the comments below. But I did a review of those Constructicon colored cassettes, and their whole gimmick was that, you could use them with your G1 Devastator if you wanted also as a weapon and stuff like that. It was a very interesting idea back then. So it's nice to see kind of a return to these Constructicon cassettes by a different company all these years later, and they combine and they do all this stuff. I'd love to see a Hot Rod cassette. That'd be cool. Soundwave has Hot Rod in his chest. It's a really unique idea that really opens up to a lot of cleverness and creativity down the line. So let me know what you think about this. Let me know who you'd like to see as a cassette in this case.